An Arizona officer has been arrested for a fatal hit and run. Can you believe it? What's up, all of my fellow lunatics out there? How are we doing today? Hopefully better than this guy. Before we get started, please hit that like and subscribe button. Don't be scared. Just, punch it. It's right there. It's right there somewhere. Hit it. And as always, if this video goes past 10 minutes, jump over to my YouTube if you're on TikTok, where the full video will always be on YouTube. And coming soon, I will have Patreon up and going with all my videos, but also videos just for members, like exclusive content for members. So get to know me. If you like the channel, if you enjoy the news stories, then maybe it's something you might want to look into in the future. But until then, let's get into this one, shall we? This story is coming from the Arizona News. Literally, it says Arizona News. That's the news company. Read to you by yours truly. Tribal police officer arrested in deadly hit and run in eastern Arizona. Pinetop, Lakeside, Arizona. A tribal police officer in eastern Arizona has been arrested after he allegedly struck and killed a pedestrian on Thanksgiving, then left the scene. The Navajo County Sheriff's Office confirms that Josh Anderson, now a former officer of the White Mountain Apache Police Department, is facing charges in the hit-and-run death of a 30-year-old Iris Billy. Not Billie Eilish. Eilish? Not Billie Eilish. Iris Billy. The deadly collision happened at about 3:30 a.m. last Thursday, November 23rd, on State Route 73 at milepost 355 near Pinetop Lakeside. That's about 2.5 miles south of the Hondan Casino on the Fort Apache Reservation. In a Facebook post a few hours after the crash, police said the unknown vehicle fled the scene and had not been located. In a follow-up message that was posted on Friday night, the department announced that an arrest had been made, but provided no other details. Both posts have since been deleted. During the investigation, police later found that Anderson's patrol vehicle had damage that was consistent with a collision with a pedestrian. On Monday, the NSCO confirmed that Anderson, 49, was arrested at his home in White River on Friday night. In addition, the sheriff's office said that Anderson was on duty when the crash occurred, and had also responded to the scene and made next of kin notifications to Billy's family. Hold on. Did I hear that correctly? So, Jesus Christ. So, this cop hit a pedestrian in his patrol car while on duty, took off, responded to the hit and run, because he's on duty. He's got to work, right? So he goes back to, the scene of the crime, and then starts calling the victim's family saying, "I'm sorry, but some lunatic just ran into your boy and took off, and we have no idea who he is." Oh, those scratches? That blood on my cop car? No, I hit a deer. Yeah, I know we're in Arizona. I hit it in Arkansas last week. I was visiting friends. Don't stop looking at that. Don't worry about it. I'm just trying to let you know your man's not gonna be home for dinner. You might want to take a plate off the table. I'm sorry. My condolences. I swear, we're gonna do all we can to find the bastard. Okay, so yeah, that's what it said. I mean, not word for word what I just said, but yeah, basically, the dude on patrol hit the guy in a patrol car, killed him, ran, came back to do his job, came back with damage on his patrol car. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, it's not funny. Seriously, my heart goes out to the family and the victims, but that's just insane. But let's continue. Where was I? Jesus Christ. He was arrested on Friday night, was on duty when the crash occurred, and had also responded to the scene and made next of kin notifications to Billy's family. Following his arrest, Anderson was booked into the White Mountain Apache Adult Detention Facility on multiple tribal charges, including, but not limited, assault, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault causing serious physical injury, criminal negligence, reckless driving, interference with an officer, death caused by a vehicle, and leaving the scene of a fatality collision. Jesus Christ. I hope the tribes are more lenient than the feds, because if you walk into the federal courthouse with those kind of charges, boy oh boy, you're never going home. And I don't think he should. I mean, obviously he hit and ran, which makes me think, and I know this is profiling and I'm probably going to get canceled even though I'm not even nothing yet, but makes me think the guy was possibly drinking. It was Thanksgiving, day's kind of slow, he's working the tribal beat, having a few drinks. God knows why he was speeding or whatever he was doing, but whacked the pedestrian who was also, let's hand it to both of them. It's Thursday. It's Thanksgiving, excuse me. We all like to have a few, on Thanksgiving. Come on now. Who doesn't like to down a few, play Monopoly, and fight their whole family drunk on Thanksgiving? At least that's how our family always did it. These guys like to, go for walks, go for drives, and, go to prison. Yeah, crazy. The sheriff's office said Anderson, who was a 20-year veteran of the department, who's well known across the reservation, resigned immediately following his arrest. I don't think he had a choice. Did they really give him a choice? Look, we can fire you, but if you want to save some face, I don't know how you're going to save face. I mean, you just hit a guy in your squad car on duty and killed him and ran. But if you want to save a little piece of whatever dignity you think you have left, we'll give you the option to resign. We won't fire you. That way on paper it still looks good. Maybe you can be a cop again one day. You never know. So he resigned immediately, of course. Following his arrest, the case has now been turned over to the FBI. Oh, spoke too soon. The feds are coming, boy. The FBI, which will eventually turn its findings into the U.S. Attorney's Office for review. Quote, "This is an extremely sad time for the family of the victim, the men and women at the White Mountain Apache Police Department." Screw the police department and Jesus Christ. Did he really have to throw that in there? No, it's a sad time for the victim and the family. And possibly the dude sitting in jail, bawling his eyes out because he really screwed up. But seriously, they're really going to say, oh, this is hard on all of us. We're all having a hard time with this. It's hard to hold a badge and see another man holding the badge breaking the law. Really hits me down in my balls, down in my deep areas. Come on, man. All right. So anyway, and the men and women at the White Mountain Apache Police Department and the White Mountain Apache Tribe. This event is an isolated incident. No, it's not. No, maybe for the tribe. Not for the police department. No. I don't believe that for a second. I tell these stories. I know for a fact this is not isolated. I mean, hit and run, but no. Anyway, Let's continue. Forgive me for getting a little sidetracked. This is an isolated incident and is not a reflection of the fine police officers that serve and protect the citizens at the White Mountain Apache Reservation every day, the Navajo County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. Yeah. Do you think as he's saying that, as he's telling his little, putting his little news release out there, he just, in the back of his head, or as he's speaking, he's just, bullcrap, garbage, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Come on, bro. Alright, let's continue. The White Mountain Apache Police Department acted in a swift, transparent, and aggressive manner to find the facts and document the incident. Hell yeah, they work swift to document it. I mean, so swift, the guy that did the crime was the first one on the scene to, clean up his mistake. Their professionalism, that's what we call it, their professionalism and vigilance throughout the investigation resulted in the ability to gather evidence and facts surrounding the death of Iris Billy. I'm pretty sure it was easy to grab the facts. Don't all cop cars have, webcams now or cameras in their car? So, pretty sure the evidence was probably sitting on the guy's dash. Billy's sister, Pyleen Burnett, says their family is heartbroken and can't wrap their heads around what Anderson did. Quote, "It is very disturbing, sickening, and heartless. Whatever he did to her, he came back to the scene and helped investigate." Shit. Okay, I thought Iris Billy was a male. Apparently it was a female. Jesus Christ, man. This story just gets worse and worse. Between the bullcrap cops trying to, shift the sympathy to themselves. Feel bad for us. It's really hard being an officer these days. So hard. God damn it. What the fuck, man? It's very disturbing, sickening, and heartless. Whatever he did to her, he came back to the scene and helped investigate, Burnett said. And he, Anderson, was one of the 4 officers that came to my parents' house to break the news to them. God, please, Jesus Christ. Burnett says Billy was a mother of 2 boys, 9 and 10 years old. She has a twin sister, as well as 2 younger siblings. Quote, "We were expecting her home that morning. They still need her. She was the sole parent, and stolen. But she was the sole parent. She was everything to them," Burnett said. "To know it was someone in our local police department, emotions are all over the place. It's sadness and anger, like, why? He needs to stay in jail." I'm with you. I'm with you on that, sister. 100%. That man needs to spend the rest of his life in jail. Yeah. Brian Swanty is the chief deputy with the Navajo County Sheriff's Office. He says the tribal chairman and police chief have asked NCSO to take on the role of interacting with the media. Yeah, he probably got in trouble for saying the wrong things. He's like, "I'm done. I'm not going to put out any more news releases. They didn't like how I tried to turn the tears on our side. You guys, I need some real PR over here." They started to recognize there was a police car that was there at the scene that had some damage on it. But again, in rural Arizona, our cars get torn up sometimes because officers go to the forest, he said. But as the investigation continued, there was more and more indication saying something just isn't fitting here. Yeah, like maybe the blood the hair in the bumper. I don't know, the smell of perfume on his dash, on his windshield. You know, smudge of lipstick on this fender. Pretty sure there was a lot of things that didn't quite fit. Just isn't fitting here. Choice words for a choice kind of cop. Who would ever think it was the police car involved that's now back on scene? I would. Right here. Me. I would totally think it. I've seen it. Seen shit like that. I know about corrupt cops. That is just not normal, he said. Swansea says a supervisor from the White Mountain Police Department pulled all these facts together and went to Anderson's home and inspected his police car. And as the sergeant was looking at the police car, he recognized the damage that was on the car was consistent with potentially hitting a pedestrian. Quote, I can't imagine that scenario there at all. Next of kin are probably one of the worst assignments to be given, let alone knowing you had something to do with it. I can't imagine that, Swansea said. Yeah, it must have been real hard for him. Like all of you. It must be real hard. So hard being an officer these days. It's just so hard. So hard having a badge and a gun. Poor old police officers. Jesus Christ. Alone knowing he had something to do with it, I can't imagine that, Swansea said. Had he stopped, rendered aid like the rest of us would you though? Would be required to do, we wouldn't be speaking today. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you would. If he was drinking and he hit her and he didn't run and she died, then he's still getting vehicular. He's still going to get pretty much the same charges, except for the, leaving the scene of leaving the scene of a crime or whatever the hell it was that he got. But yeah, I mean, if he was drinking and he wiped her out in his squad car on duty, kind of the same thing, bro. Maybe that's why you run. I don't know why else he would have a reason to run. He's a cop. He could be like, I mean, literally, there was a case the other day where a cop hit a woman and got off on it because he was going to, the scene of a crime. Like, he was rushing somewhere. And another one where a cop hit a pastor. And they're looking into that one, but he barely turned his lights on, no siren, and the pastor was crossing the road from getting his mail, and the cop wiped him out and killed him. And he's probably going to get it off. So yeah, there's no reason to run unless you're actually doing something to break the law. So I'm thinking he was drinking. And that's about it. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for being here. I know this was kind of a long one. I went off on a little bit of a tangent. But as I said before, I don't really read the entire stories until I read them to y'all. I kind of read the headline, skim through the first little bit, make sure it's going to be, juicy enough, corrupt enough, and then, decide to either go with it or not. And this one I decided to go with. And as I read more and more, right along with you guys, my reaction was authentic, and it just kind of irked me. Put me in a little bit of a blunder mentally. But that happens, Hey, but at least, honestly, at least I'm not one of those poor officers. At least I'm not one of those poor officers, because it's so hard being an officer these days. It's so hard. Oh, poor little cops. All right. Well, that being said, I love each and every one of you. Stay tuned for the next one, and until then, stay wild.